Hey guys, welcome to my video. Today I will be reviewing episode 3 of Loki. Just know that, as usual, this video has spoilers for Loki so far, so if you haven't seen the latest episode of Loki yet and you care about spoilers, then please don't watch this video. Anyways, I thought episode 3 of Loki was pretty good. I liked how this episode set up a bond between Loki and Sylvie. I'll admit, when the episode was getting started, I didn't like Sylvie all that much, but by the end of the episode, I thought she was great. I'm happy the mystery around her wasn't answered this episode, at least completely, and there are still so many questions the show has to answer. Like, we got a little bit of answers, we got a few, but there's still so many questions, and I feel like a lot of these answers just brought up more questions, and that's great, I love that. In my last video, I pointed out the themes that we've seen so far in Loki, such as Loki and hurting others, and I noticed another theme in this episode, love. This episode really focuses on love. They bring it up a lot, and I think that's a great thing for Loki as a character. If this episode taught us anything, it's that Loki needs love in his life, and I really hope we see that develop later on in this show. It's a really good thing to touch on. The futuristic design of this episode was so good. Each episode had a distinct aesthetic, and I love it. As usual, this felt like a mini movie. I'd be willing to bet that the Loki show has the highest budget out of any of the MCU shows so far. No other MCU show has had such an interesting design, in my opinion at least. WandaVision was cool because of a time period design, but I think this set with Loki is even better. Like, WandaVision was great for the design, but I feel like this stuff with Loki is just incredible. Like, this episode was all like purplish pink. I'm colorblind, so I don't know if that's right or not, but I thought it was great. When Loki and Sylvie were fighting the guards of the art, I thought it was really stupid. I was asking myself, if the world is blowing up in front of them and meteors are destroying everything they know and love, then why the heck were they still doing their stuff and fighting and protecting the art and doing their job? I was happy that they stopped fighting after Yard blew up, because although it was a sad moment, it made sense. This was something I was going to criticize about the show, but I decided not to after Dart stopped fighting. Like, I just thought that was a nice touch, and it really created a nice scene of despair that was sad, and that's good, even though it's sad. Speaking of fighting, this episode has some great action. I like how it isn't constant action, and there are some great emotional parts in between. Scenes like that, with emotion, make action feel earned, and they make it even better and more exciting, and also add stakes. Like I admitted earlier, I didn't care about Sylvie too much, and at first I was like, okay, who cares? Something might happen to her, not the end of the world. But at the end of the episode, I was like, yeah, no, please don't hurt her, this is so good. Just in general, this show has really made me care about characters who I didn't know before. Of course, I cared about Loki, but Sylvie and Agent Mobius are both characters who are new, brand new. Maybe they were in the comics or something, but brand new to me, and now I really care about them. Now, to get to some things I didn't like about this episode, really, it's just one thing. I miss seeing the TVA. You'd think we'd see more of them this episode because we've seen them so much in the first two episodes, but no, I guess not. I especially miss Mobius. His connection with Loki was so good. I just don't see why we didn't end up watching what happened with a sacred timeline. I guess we'll find out next episode, but I miss seeing it this episode. And this is unrelated, but I'm calling it now. Mobius is absolutely a Loki variant. After learning that everyone in the TVA is a variant, it just makes sense. This has been my least favorite episode of Loki so far. It was the shortest episode we've had by about 10 minutes, which is a lot, and it's not the end of the world, but it just tells us even more issues with the piecing of a story. So far, Loki has had two huge episodes, and then this one. Episode 2 dropped the twist of a timeline being bombed, and then this current episode didn't even address that. I just am not a fan of how disconnected this episode feels from the other ones, even with Sylvie being involved. They just didn't add too much to the story in this episode, and that was disappointing. This season is already shaping up to only go from point A to point B, like how a movie does. Movies are usually very clear-cut, especially Marvel movies, and they tell much smaller stories than a show does. Being able to watch a story like that in a few hours in a movie is something that makes movies so great, but not a show. Loki feels like a movie in a very bad way. It being only 6 episodes doesn't help this issue. If Marvel wanted to make such a small story, they should have just made a movie. I may be saying this all a little prematurely, but there's just not much time left to set up stuff in the show for a meaningful finale. Anyways, I like this third episode of Loki, even though it was my least favorite so far. It just goes to show how good this show is, because my least favorite episode is still one I really enjoyed. My only real problem with this episode was the pacing. This one was slow compared to the other two, and the show in general seems too short. I can't wait to see the next episode though, and I really enjoyed this one. I rate episode 3 of Loki a 7.75 out of 10. So, thanks for watching guys. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video because it would really mean a lot. Make sure to tell me if there are any movies or shows you'd like to see me review next, and I'll see you in the next video.